How you guys doing? So my name is Kwame. Want to tell you a funny story about how I joined and probably almost missed this boat, joining Coders4Africa. I got a call one day, I was watching a movie, hanging out with my girlfriend, and this young man who had what seemed like a Chinese, Senegalese, Belgium, I don't know what accent he had, gets on the phone and is like, hey, I read a little bit about your work that you've been doing, and I wonder if you're willing to join the cause. And I was like, okay, so tell me about what you're doing. I hope you're not trying to sell anything, because I don't have time right now. And so Amadou goes on telling me, and I'm like, wow, you know what? This aligns with everything I'm very passionate about. So I get on the phone with him, and my girlfriend is like, who are you talking to? She's inquisitive. So I said, okay, I was talking to this guy Amadou. She's like, oh, Amadou, mind you, we've only been dating for like 2 months. Amadou? Oh, yeah, I know. How do you know Amadou? Oh, I think he was my ex's best friend. Really? Let me give this guy a call back real quick. So if I was a jealous guy, I probably would have missed this boat, but thank God I'm not, and it was just very great. It's been very emotional, traveling back to Africa and just having people come up to you and say, you know what? Thank you very much for what you're doing. And this was just something that he called me and he said, I want to give back to our community. I said, you know what? I want to do the same thing too. And we're still here. All of us are still here. So definitely give Amadou a round of applause. I'm one of the co-founders. I'm the marketing guy, so I'm not going to be too technical on you. You can thank me later. I've been really into digital analytics, working with teams, helping them gain insights from their websites, from mobile applications that they build, right? So the one thing that we realized when we were in Africa is a lot of the developers, they build apps and they just put them out there, When they have to make changes, they're not being data-driven, They're just like, oh, I want to change the screen to blue. Why? Blue is my favorite color. Like, seriously? No, you can't do that. You have to use data. You have to have insights and get exactly what the people who are using your site are enjoying or not enjoying. Because the ultimate goal is to optimize your app or your website, right? It's like you have a baby. You're not just going to just throw him out there and let him do what he wants. You continuously teach him, you tell him what's good, what's bad, and you help shape him and improve him. So this is really the ecosystem of analytics. So exactly what is analytics? So it helps measure the content quality of your site or your app, to keep it very rudimentary. You can measure quantitative versus qualitative. You can look at that as like the what versus the why, right? So the quantitative can tell you what users are doing. Oh, 10 people came and looked at this page. 15 people stayed on the site for more than 5 minutes. Like, these are all things that you should really be thinking about as a developer. By the way, I saw a hand of the developers. Can I ask how many of you are actually using analytics if you create mobile applications? That's really great. Can I just ask which tools you use? Omniture? Yeah, you got money. That's an expensive tool, man. What do you use? Oh, I'm not going to say you're cheap, but you're very smart. I'll keep it like that. That's good. It's a very good tool. Okay, so that's good. So at least we have some people that are being data-driven. And then obviously the qualitative tells you why they're doing it. So this is actually like deep diving, right? So you look at your data and you try and be inquisitive and figure out why this is happening, and you do A/B testing. So there's a lot of testing that also goes around that we realize that some of our developers in Africa weren't doing. So, I kind of look at myself as a data evangelist, so I'm really trying to inspire the youth, inspire these developers to be data-driven. That's one of my passions. Obviously, it's not good to know what's happening on your website if you don't know why it's happening. And if you don't have a good understanding how the users get there in the first place, how are you going to optimize your application, right? So this is all common sense stuff. So this is the crossroads, right? So we heard David talk, we heard Ali talk, and some of the things that you can track, if you're interested, page or your screen views, unique visitors, that's just the unique kind of people who visit your website, and visits. Like, those can tell you very interesting things about your site. This is obviously not as detailed. Where's my Omniture guy? Yeah, it's obviously not as detailed as you can get with Omniture, but it's a good starting point to get an understanding of how you can optimize your application, right? And then coding, so like what Ali was talking about, and oh, we got a kid here. Does he want to do data analysis? Coding, so you code the application, you use different types of tools, different types of programming languages. Oh, you can let him come. You can let him come. Let him be free. Let him be free, man. Yeah, he can hold the clicker for me. So you do your coding. You want to know in-app how they're using your app. You want to know how fast your page is loading. Technical things like that, you can use analytics to measure, right? Because it'll help you code a better application, actually. Your startup time, if people are visiting your website using iOS or a different platform, you can know because it helps you code and arrange things and the screen better for them. So, all right, these are just basic things. And then to go back to what David was saying, click through what buttons, for instance, people are clicking on your app, the most shown screen, the users, some of the users are on iOS versus blah, blah, blah. So these are things that are good to know as a developer because you can get back and say, okay, you know what? Why are people clicking on this button? Is it the color? Why are people visiting this page for so less time? Why are they not watching this video? Is it too long? So these are things that I personally enjoy doing because you have to be like very inquisitive, when I was younger, I think I was the one in the family who got beat the most by my parents because I would always ask why, right? And African parents, they tell you to do something, you do it. You don't ask why. You know what I'm saying? So, I wasn't being disrespectful. I just wanted to know why they wanted me to do stuff. Another thing, especially, I got a lot of questions from our developers, like who weren't using analytics. They said, oh, my bounce rate is 79%. That's good, right? I'm like, nah, not at all. This is one of the ones where you want it to be very low, right? So talking about metrics is basically the amount of people who come to your site, visit one page, and then they leave. For whatever reason. Maybe they don't like it, maybe they don't like you. I don't know what it is, but they're leaving, right? So you definitely want to have a lower bounce rate. And just going back to being inquisitive, some of the questions that you can really ask is, how are people visiting your website? Are they visiting more from mobile? Because that's something that you can help you code. Maybe you need to code a mobile website or something like that. How can you use this analytics to make better decisions? And that's one of the main things, not only in companies, but also just regular, individuals, is you have to move away from using your gut instinct, to use actual information of the people that are visiting your site. This stuff is free. There's so many tools that you can use to get this information. And, this is like, my wife sometimes says, like, you have the easiest job. You're like a weatherman. You just go, you predict how things are, and then if it doesn't work out, you just say, hey, it just didn't work out. But, there's no science to analytics. It's a lot of experience, right? So you have to know, for instance, if I'm looking at a website, a publishing company, for instance, why is our data viewership so low? Oh, of course, it's a weekend or it's a holiday. So those are just little things that you pick up along the way, right? I would say which screens and I have visitors I spend the most time on and why. And that, you always want to optimize your stuff. If you see a peak in something, it's like, okay, you ask yourself, why is this happening? How can I delve deeper into that to find out why? And how can I use that to make this tool better, right? And also on the technical side, like, device reporting, app crash. Like a lot of developers, sometimes that they would only worry about, okay, when is my app crashing? But, you can deep dive a lot, like where it's happening, why the pages are not loading as fast enough. So I think analytics is definitely, it's the stepchild, because people are just like, oh, and actually the way we did this whole panel was very interesting, right? Because I went last, right? That's how it is. People don't think about analytics. They don't, no, that's even in big companies. They don't think about that. It's always the last thing. They page, functionality, Kwame, okay, we're ready to do analytics. Dude, seriously? Like, you have to go put this code, you have to go code this stuff. So it's like, okay, now we gotta go back. So it's really trying to explain to people that this stuff should really come first, Tools, hey, Pigwig, there you are right there. There's too many. People say, okay, what tool should I use? What do you advise me to use? To me, the tool is really not, it's important, but it's the person who's behind the tool that is really important, right? So you have to know what your business goals are, what your objective is, because those are the things that really drive the metrics that you pick, right? So your business goals, then you pick your key point indicators, right? So I want to have, I don't know, 20,000 views in a week, right? So that's something that you can track. You can track either way you want it. I think I've been advising people towards Google Analytics because it's obviously cheap and it's relatively easy to set up. There are some really new tools out there. This one called, there's Segment.io. And what Segment.io actually does, which is really cool, if you know what Segment.io, it acts as a mapping. So if, for instance, you want to move, say you're using Google and you want to move to a different platform, Segment.io actually lets you transfer all your data to any actually probably 60% of all these different tools with just a click, right? So gone are the days of you have to load all your database and transfer all this old data. No, everything is stored, and they store all your data, all your events. It's just a matter of click. Okay, now I want to use Omniture. Click Omniture. You put all your events and everything. Boom, it goes in there. It's really easy. So this is the future. This is the trend where people are trying to make things a lot easier. I'm not going to cover big data because this has really been thinking about the youth, right? And basically, we came up with this because people were asking a lot of questions about, hey, how can I be more data driven and what can we do? But if we have another event and if people are interested in that, we can definitely get into that. Wow, that was short. That was good. So thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, we'll have a Q&A session after. Thank you.